Hey, what's happening, everyone? It is I, the man, the myth, the mustache. Tim here with a brand new video for you. Welcome to part 21 of What If Izuku Was an AFO Fan. That's right, I punked you on part 20. We're still going with this one. So please, sit back and relax because you're in for a very good treat. With that out of the way, let's get this story going, shall we? Flames burned high as Izuku commanded the Nomo and new rank-and-file recruits from the remnants of the MLA that had been absorbed into the LOV. Nothing of their former city base was to be left behind, only ruins and fire. Once everyone was sent away to the Island Citadel, Izuku smirked as he gazed at the destruction and left behind for the incoming heroes and commission officers a calling card that only the greatest of fools could miss. Not even All Might could miss it. Probably. Missing the calling card was impossible when the heroes arrived at the remains of the tower the MLA once called home. When the media arrived on the scene, they wasted no time on getting their cameras focused on the burning symbol of a gigantic phoenix emerging from the ashes. This was the calling card Izuku had left behind and burned into the side of the building. Izuku groaned as he removed his gear for his tactical suit and got changed into his regular suit as he looked into his mirror with a frown. He could have sworn he heard a voice call out as he felt a hand on his shoulder.
A suit and tie definitely fits you well, Izuku.
It was unmistakable that was All For One's voice. A memory, perhaps? When he was first given his various suits and ties from All For One and Kurogiri. Izuku shook this off and wandered from his room into the lounge, where the League members were now relaxing and celebrating their victory over the MLA. Or so he thought. Phoenix Squadron did the most work. Bah, you wish, you bootleg mind flayer. Dabi raised his voice as he poked Shinzo in the chest. At least this bootleg mind flayer did more for the operation than push a suitcase of money at Lady Nagant. Shinzo retorted, batting away Dabi's hand. Not having time for the squabble, Izuku sat down and grabbed a drink to relax. As Izuku chugged down his drink, Tamura and Jiro sat to his left and right. It seemed he'd get no peace or seclusion.
They've been at this for hours, Izuku. Will you please step in?
Tamura groaned as Kurogiri glided by, placing another drink in front of Izuku, who simply raised his finger as he started on his fresh drink. Izuku, will you take this seriously? Plus, it's only a matter of time before you get pulled into that argument too, especially since you defeated and killed Redestro without using a single one of your quirks. Izuku put his empty glass down and looked at Jiro with a raised eyebrow. Then he looked to see every member of the Vanguard Action Squad arguing with the members of Phoenix Squadron. Both sides argued over who had done more during the fall of the MLA. All right, that's enough! We claimed a great victory. Who cares who did the most work? You are all of equal standing. We should be celebrating, not arguing for All For One's sake. Izuku shouted at the arguing bunch of villains. Clearly during his time of imprisonment and seclusion, plotting for the downfall of the MLA, some of the members of the League had drifted apart. What to do? Izuku glanced around before landing his gaze upon the booth Jiro had converted into an audio booth. A wide grin spread across his face. An answer, it would seem, had presented itself to solve this little dispute, and perhaps fix the rift between people. Izuku slowly wandered into the booth as the various League members just stared at him in silence, none of them really wanting to further enrage their leader or push his infamous bad temper. Then their worried silence turned to confusion as music began blasting from the booth and the various speakers. The last time I saw smiles on all your faces was when we conquered Island and we had a guys' night. Clearly, things have become strained during my absence and seclusion. So here's what's gonna happen. All members of Phoenix Squad, including me, will have to defeat everyone in the Vanguard Action Squad, including Tamura, in a dance-off! There was sheer confusion as the League stared at Izuku. Who was this, and what had they done with Tactikill?
Izuku, are you feeling all right? Did you hit your head or did you sleep enough last night?
Tamura asked, slightly concerned, only for Izuku to snap his fingers in his elder brother's face and begin breakdancing with the aid of his claw pack. Oh, it was on!
Oh, you wanna go, huh? Let's fucking go! Come at me, scrub lord.
Tamura began breaking down into his own breakdance to come back at Izuku's dance. Tamura used several stolen quirks thanks to his recent AFO quirk to add flair. Kurogiri lightly chuckled to himself, noticing that this had everyone's attention in all the right ways. I am sorry, young master, but I will play the role of impartial judge with the other members of the League, who hold no full loyalty to either faction. Kurogiri laughed as he raised a hand in Izuku's direction, declaring him the winner of this round. For the entire night and even into the morning, the League of Villains battled each other in the form of a dance-off after dance-off, as some of them sat back, drinking and eating in the interims between dance-offs. Kurogiri, Curious, Mei, La Brava, Gentle Criminal, Eri, Chrono, and Shin all sat back, acting as the judges for who won which round, but ultimately, they lost count of who won the most rounds and all the fun. Mission success, Izuku thought to himself with a smug grin. A winged figure stood watch over Eye Island from a small cove aboard the ship captained by the hero Selkie. The heroes assigned to observe and report on Eye Island from stealth were Hawks, Selkie, Froppy, Sirius, and Tsukuyomi, with Dark Shadow by his side. The ship was built and constantly upgraded, with the best stealth tech David Shield and his team that made it out of Eye Island could provide. Hawks was on watch, but quickly dropped and leaned forward, zooming his vision in through his binoculars on the LOV's new citadel. It was moving. It had moved from that spot since it fell into the League of Villains' hands. Why now? This was serious. He couldn't let it get away, and this ship would get destroyed by Nomu if they disabled their stealth systems to give chase. He, on the other hand, was faster and smaller than any of those sluggish flying Nomu. Even Ragnarok was slow in the air. It was on the ground that thing was fast. Hawks growled to himself, letting Tsukuyomi, or rather Tokuyami, as he was actually called, know where he was going and to spread the word to send an instant communication back to the Commission that the island was on the move. Wasting no time, Hawks took flight, trying to keep pace with Eye Island, which he managed to do no problem. But then came the questions. By now, surely he should have been spotted. Why weren't any Nomu coming? Why weren't any of the turrets targeting him, firing? The answer? The League of Villains didn't even know, and were having their dance-off. Hawks was practically a few miles from landing on the island itself, but he pulled back as he realized the island was leaving Japanese waters, and worse yet even, if he was allowed to follow it over international waters, it was entering the biggest fog bank he'd ever seen in all his years. Landing on a nearby rock to regain his stamina and rest his wings, Hawks punched his sea-stack perch. He'd make them pay for what they did to Endeavor, to Stars, to All Might, to everyone who died or been thrown into chaos by the League of Villains. A fist slammed against a desk loudly as a tired man spoke up. So, let me get this straight, Hawks. You were this close to landing on Eye Island, but you backed off because it went into international waters and was, yes, by standard law, no longer Japan's problem. However, you managed to screw up even more by losing Eye Island in a fog bank, and we now have no way to track it, and due to the fog bank, neither can any other freaking country thanks to your vague-ass excuses and answers. Nobody knows where the League of Villains is anymore, Hawks, and it's all on you! The president of the commission tiredly shouted at Hawks from behind his desk. You weren't there. Besides, we don't know how many Nomu are on that island, let alone alphas. Plus, we were allowed to go against the LOV on an international scale when All for One was involved. Well, Stars confirmed his death, as did Endeavor, so unless the UN comes to a fast agreement that Tactical and Golden Fox are just as bad, we can't touch it. Or do I gotta call Nezu, who is on a trip right now to the US, where the UN are having talks on said matter, just so you'll back off? If I get called in for something like this again, I'm done. I'll quit in a heartbeat. I owe the previous commission president plenty, but you? I owe you nothing. Hawks smirked at the skinny male, who slipped into his chair and rubbed his eyes. Hawks, I'm sorry, it's just... this is all new to me still. I don't want to be known as the commission president who lost a war against a bunch of villains. I mean, we're being forced to conscript kids into full pro hero status. I see why my predecessor resigned when she did. The Hosu massacre. That's when she resigned, and when it all went downhill. It's like she knew it was gonna get worse, so she put someone who had little experience in charge. Wait. Shooting up as if awoken by both rage and inspiration, the commission president began going over files before reaching the file of his predecessor, going over when she left and her address. Hawks, find her and find her fast, please. This could make or break things for us. Hawks held the papers confused, but he followed orders as he left the door. Eager to help as ever were his 3 top child soldiers, or conscript heroes. What was the difference at this point? Tokuyami, Mina, and Setsuna. So what's the job, boss? With the League Turntail, we gotta bust some normal villains, right? An ever-eager Mina asked, jumping around, punching the air. Tokuyami sighed as he brooded in the background, while Setsuna just laughed at Mina's antics. Love the spirit, Pinky, but this bird's gotta go solo. My man Tokuyami gets it, right, bud? Yeah, he gets it. Anyway, you guys head back to UA and relax or something, and enjoy a day in Japan where the League of Villains aren't looking around. Heck, maybe tell that special someone how you feel. You never know when a break like this will come along. See you guys later. Hawks waved off his favorite little trio of unlikely friends, but the Conscription Act really brought together all sorts of teams for all sorts of missions, and people grew friendships you just can't forge outside the fires of a good mission. So this was the address, huh? It looked pretty enough for a resigned higher up of the commission to go hide away in after what happened at Hosu. Still, why the hell did this need to be so top priority? Hawks knocked on the door and waited, and waited, and waited, until he finally got a response. This video is brought to you by NordVPN. Staying safe online is an ever-growing difficulty, and hackers could exploit you. NordVPN allows you to change your IP address, making you harder to track, securing your privacy. In addition to providing you with safe paths to the internet, you can also expand the reach of your favorite streaming services. Are you tired of going through 2, 3, or even 4 streaming services to watch your favorite anime? Well, with NordVPN, you can change your country and be able to binge shows like My Hero Academia, Naruto, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, and many others of your favorite streaming service with just a press of a button. Check out the link in the description to get 72% off when buying 2 years for $3.29 a month. This deal is for a limited time, however. And once again, thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. A short elderly man and his wife, both dressed in fine clothing, opened the door and looked up at Hawks. Yeah, neither of these people were the previous commission prez. Heck, they were not in the commission in any way. Apparently the prez did live there, and these were her parents. But she gave them the house in exchange for a lot of money before she moved abroad, never saying where or for how long she'd be abroad. Okay, red flags. Hawks was starting to catch on to why he needed to hunt down where the prez had gone. Eventually, Hawks had come to a less than legal but highly discreet company that allowed overseas travel, and lo and behold, this was the company the prez used. Why was she being so secretive and sketchy? Hawks had never known her to do things like this. Huh? Oh, here? Yeah, she came through all right. Listen, I get it. League of Villains and the travel bans before All for One took the big dyke nap. People like me and my biz, we make a lot of money when someone wants to get out of the country during a crisis. Now, we ain't exactly smiled at by a common cop, so, how's about this? You don't report us, Mr. Number 2, and, I'll show you the books. Answer every question, let you interview whoever you need, all the goosey-goosey, right? Follow me. The dock manager gave info more freely than Hawks anticipated, but maybe he just didn't want to get shut down by being caught in this. Plus, Hawks really didn't have the time to waste or care about such a tiny infraction. As the two descended the stairs into a damp sub-basement, something felt off. Hawks could feel it in his feathers. Something about this guy was fishy, and at the time, while he loved the dock manager being fishy pun, he really needed to stay on guard. If this crooked travel dealer was gonna attack him, he needed to be ready to take him down and make him talk. A door opened up before the two, and at first, Hawks just thought the dark, stinking room was some kind of converted fish guttery. After all, it smelled like dead marine life. Quickly, but not quick enough, Hawk's feathers picked up movement in the darkness as the dock worker ran out and locked the hero inside. Slowly, the lights flickered to life. Crap. So this is how the guy kept heroes away from his ledgers and got extra funding. Looks like the LOV had paid for some storage space for their auxiliary aquatic Nomu, who had decided to beat the living snot out of Hawks for poking his nose where it didn't belong. Slowly, a quiet pair of footsteps approached Hawks from behind, whilst he was pinned down by 2 ugly-ass Nomu. One of them had even slobbered all over his wings and paralyzed them using one of the more bizarre quirks it had, so using his feathers was out of the question. Hawks could hear them behind him. Their movements were crystal clear in Hawks' mind. He could picture them in his head. Some kind of metal appendage like a claw, but it's just one? And really long. Maybe a tail? They're female. Definitely female. Young, too. Crap. Could this be a new villain, or has one of the members of the LOV's inner circle got an upgrade? Hawk's mind raced at 1,000 miles a minute, asking so many questions, until the voice of the villain shattered it all. Jeez, boss! You made it so hard to focus on your thoughts when you think about that many questions. It gets so messy. You're like Nezu right now, or Sir Night-Eye. I can never use my thought search quirk on people who think too fast. At least, I'm using what All for One gave me to help our tactical, and maybe myself when I want to just find some in-class gossip. The voice of Mina cackled from behind Hawks as she slowly wandered in front of him, showing off a villain suit outfitted with a sharp-pointed metallic tail that was immune to acids. Now, when I head out to Kentucky Fried Cluckers, I always order me some chicken wings. Mina smiled once more as her tail easily cut off one of Hawk's wings with a single slice, whilst the left Aquanomu tore off the helpless number 2's other wing. I see you're thinking, Mina, how can someone like Mina Ashido be evil? And it's simple. Rejection. Society rejected me based on how I looked, and purely on how I looked. Quirk didn't matter, grades didn't matter, I only had a few friends growing up, but All for One showed me what they really thought of me when he told me to just take this thought search quirk for a test drive. Even at UA, they insult me behind my back or think it to my face. So, I reached out to Tactikill after he joined UA. Took me a while to track him down. Talk about thinking too much. That's how we got this beauty created. I told him about the Alien Queen thing, and we sat down and watched the movies, and he had a few ideas for me until we settled on this tale for my support gear as a villain, and a few extra quirks. Mina monologued as she dripped acid onto Hawks with a devious grin, before finally she got bored stabbing his arms and legs with the tip of her tail, leaving him paralyzed as she texted on her phone. Oh, and Hawks? The name's not Pinky. It's Tox N. Slowly, a warp gate opened up in the room, and the two Nomu dragged a screaming Hawks into the dark abyss of the portal. Mina stared into the warp gate, and she knew her days of gathering intel were coming closer to an end if they had dispatched someone like Hawks to hunt down the old hero commissioner who'd been bribed by All for One for years, so she'd turn a blind eye. But it was after Hosu she tried to escape. Another unfortunate death at sea. Mina decided it was time to cut her losses. After all, if this black site didn't get discovered, maybe she'd have stayed, but clearly things are getting way too close for comfort. Time to clear out and join the rest of the league at I Island. 1 year. It had been a whole year now since the Hosu massacres. Nobody had seen or heard from the LOV ever since Hawks vanished. During that time, Melissa's shield had grown to master more of One for All, under the tutelage of Sir Night-Eye and Gran Torino. The wedding date of Eraserhead and G-Force went public since the media found out somehow, and since Aizawa really didn't want the vultures spoiling the big day, Inko decided that they'd push the date back until things calmed down and the news had something else to focus on. Not wanting to overshadow All Might's Day of Silence in UA, the two decided on the day with a happier memory for them, and that was the anniversary of when Aizawa initially proposed. Something Inko was perfectly fine with. Elsewhere, Eri had grown to become a master magician in simple magic tricks, and had grown up some too, even understanding she was on the side of the villains now, and not the heroes. But growing up with Izuku's ideology around you 24/7 warps the mind a bit, leading Eri to take on the villain name of Sorceress. In addition, thanks to all of the League, she'd really become her own person, and had let her fears of her quirk go, allowing Izuku to start training her in proper use of it. It was all coming together, with the pieces Izuku needed for his pet project that only he and All for One knew of. Not to mention, he had finally completed an extremely annoying task that had taken so damn long whilst they were docked in Japanese waters ages ago. At least, Tamura managed to steal Hawk's quirk before they left, joined by Mina and the various other spies that dotted Japan just to be safe. They wouldn't be captured or interrogated, or just decided to be loose-lipped on the League's secrets. And after training, growing closer as a unit and making sure Lady Nagant didn't decide to up and leave after getting paid for her job, it seemed about time for Izuku and the League of Villains to come home. After all, it was part of the plan to let them lower their guard in a time of peace and tranquility. And that's our video for the day, so thank you all for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed it. Before I go, there's a little bit of housekeeping I want to go over with you. First, I want to thank some of our patrons: BD Flames, Ethan Davis, Terry Chills, Shifter Meals, Adam Zagil, Zill, Zavbeat03, and Joshua Phelps. Secondly, I also want to thank some of our YouTube members: Toya Costa, Rob the King, SithLord906, CF2364 and Knuckles, Rimyu Tempest, Angel Juarez, Donald C. Stewart, Bryant Greer, and Demonized Fox. Third, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, then We the Celestials has got you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist? Heck yeah, we do! Check out more if you're interested in that. Fourthly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I want to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. I'm not kidding you. Give some love to the writer and the editors because they do a lot of work here. Finally, if you like what we do here with the Celestials, I want to extend an invitation to join our team. There's only one caveat, is you have to be 16 years or older to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interests by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. But that's it for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have an amazing day. And as always, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and stay awesome. This has been Tim, Mustache out.